The Roughhouse Podcast proudly presents from their masterpiece collection the history of SGW, the Southern Gentlemen of Wrestling. It's the Roughhouse Podcast, the international podcast heavyweight superstar champions Christoff, Like-A-Lot, and Justin Ian Daniels in his time for SGW history, the Southern Gentlemen of Wrestling. And Christoff, there's been all kinds of great stables throughout history. What have been some of your favorites?
Oh, well, I mean, DX comes to mind right off the bat, and then I think the Nation of Domination is probably my second favorite stable of all time.
I always appreciated DX. I love the original incarnation of the NWO. I have to almost consider the Fabulous Freebirds a stable, because that was three dudes. One of my favorites of all time, and this was a more recent one I thought was great, Evolution. I thought was the shit.
Evolution was great. Great idea.
Evolution was beautiful. I mean, the past, the present, and the future all together. I thought that was great. Well, SGW was no different than any other organization as far as having their feuds. You've got DX and WWE. Right now, they're breaking out Aces and Eights, which they're going to reveal soon, fucking hopefully, on TNA. And in SGW, you had the Snob Richie King and the King's Kingdom. Now, the King's Kingdom, this actually broke out the very first SGW night. General manager and ring announcer Teddy Spry made an announcement to local Georgian media outlets that this new wrestling organization was going to start up in the area with this television special. They did this television taping. In the term, the Southern Gentlemen of Wrestling, you know, people always scratch their heads like, what's with this gentleman moniker? You know, there's Extreme Championship Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, Combat Zone. Why gentlemen? Well, Teddy Spry's initial idea was to get away from all those, you know, ruffian type things where, you know, guys are running into each other, guys are smacking each other with chairs.
Something more refined.
Exactly. He wanted to have a couple of guys that might shake a hand before a match, engage in some catch-as-catch-can, and then afterwards another crisp handshake for the victor, and they head to the back. Well, that didn't go as planned, because at the very end of the night, when USA Adam Gray tore through his two opponents, Righteous Sammy Watkins and Grizzly Willie Wild, held the very first heavyweight champion strap above his head. Well, let's play some audio of what happened.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm inclined to say this has been one humdinger of an inaugural show for the Southern Gentlemen of Wrestling here in the great state of Georgia. USA Adam Gray is your new heavyweight wait a minute. Wait a minute, something's happening. We have some gentlemen making their way to the ring. My God, who are these group of men? There's a very short, stout-looking gentleman chomping on a cigar. He seems to be rubbing his hands together very villainously. Oh, and there's a large gentleman beside him. Good Lord, he's very scruffy and smelly. Wait, is that the Bear Trap Kenny Snubs we've heard so much about? The sculpture Mitchell Gorgeous. Oh, and here comes their enforcer. My God, look at the size of that man. He must be 8'2" and 500 pounds. That's the Mountain. Oh, and that nasty piece of communist business behind them, that's the Russian Andrei Semenov. I've heard about this unsavory character. My God, this is not what we intended to have happen tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We do apologize. This was meant to be a gentlemanly endeavor amongst gentlemen wrestlers. This is horrible. Get these gentlemen out of the ring. Get these gentlemen out of the ring now.
And what you heard there was the beginning of a stable that would last for years to come in many different iterations in SGW. The Snob Richie King's Kingdom. Chris, rattle off the first few members of that group that fateful night they debuted.
Well, there was the Bear Trap Kenny Snubs.
Yes, that was one of the crown jewels.
Who still stands as one of my favorite SGW wrestlers of all time.
Piece of business.
And the sculptor Mitchell Gorgeous was there.
Beautiful. The guy did it before anybody else did it. Now, the next two guys in that group I thought were fantastic, but never quite got as much acclaim as those first two you rattled off. The Russian Andrei Semenov, which I loved the guy. He was just this cold, silent, vicious. He was like Nikolai Koloff, except with way more Rambo 3 villain in him. Like, he just, there was no weird, like, let me sing Russian national anthem. No, like, he would just bite your face. He was bad.
Like Ivan Drago, almost.
Yeah, dude, that's the best way to put him. Like a slightly out-of-weight, diabetic Ivan Drago, all right? But he had,
Didn't he one time bring, like, a stuffed, like, big white bear to the ring?
Yes, dude, that's hysterical. He did. He brought this big white bear. Shocker, the county fair was going on that weekend, so Buddy Boy probably sank, like, $30 in ring toss to get the great big white stuffed asbestos bear after he'd just been winning Def Leppard locker mirrors all afternoon from missing. Right? gets himself the big white bear, brings it down because, look at me, I'm the Russian bear. Like,
the Russian.
We're not kind of impressed with that, but we appreciate what you're going for. And then finally their enforcer, the Mountain.
Yes.
And this guy was just this big, large brute of a man. A lot of people ask, why did you never hear the Mountain cut a promo? That's because he was mute. Poor fellow couldn't speak a lick of English. Actually lost his tongue in a combine accident when he was a kid. And poor fellow, a little slow in the head. And the way, like when you were a kid, would your mom make cookies and let you like lick the egg beater, Chris?
Yeah, sure.
Well, apparently, the Mountain's dad, his dad grew barley and let him lick the combine head and just yanked a piece of meat clean out of his mouth. I mean, it was bad. Just a big chunk of meat clean out of the boy's mouth. Never spoke again.
He was kind of like a mix between Eugene and Earthquake.
Yeah, like not quite as handicapped as Eugene, but still this big presence like Earthquake. He was just this big, large guy. More often than not, he would just stand in the way and let the rest of the kingdom like hide behind him. I mean, more often than not, you would see the sculpture Mitchell Gorge just cowering behind the Mountain. I mean, he was the biggest of all the group.
Yeah.
And it went through all kinds of different iterations. I mean, eventually, the sculpture Mitchell Gorgeous left, and he went on to NWA, and then, my God, they tried to replace him with Sparkling Bobby Fabulous. That didn't really work out. No. They tried to put the auto bodies with them for a little bit, the mechanic Gary Grease and the wrench Gus Griffin. Eventually, you saw the Russian Andrei Semenov just disappear. He just kind of faded from interest, and they replaced him.
He went to Siberia.
Yeah, he went back to Siberia to train.
Right.
Never fucking came back. Never came back. You had Easy Rider Christopher Ellensbury joined up with the group for a hot second. He thought he was going to lead him, butted heads with Bear Trap, who was always like the guy in the group. He was ousted pretty quickly, and eventually Kenny Snubbs himself, he just drops out, just starts to manage individuals, and the kingdom itself just kind of falls apart. But it's interesting talking about a very brief period in SGW history where they had themselves a stable. There really wasn't ever another stable in SGW. I mean, you had Party Time, On Vacation Tony Breeze, and the alcoholic Jimmy Daniels, but that was just sort of a tag team.
And that's sort of the thing you need. You need another stable before you need a rival. You know, you can't just have a group. It basically just becomes a gang, which is kind of what Aces and Aces is right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a gang where, like when NWO came out and like WCW got together with Lex Luger and Sting and Flair and all that, it wasn't really like an opposing faction. I mean, when you had DX versus the Corporation, I watched that with my fucking pants off every week.
Yeah,
it was
great.
so good. I mean, you had, when Shawn Michaels was the general manager and he was kind of booted out of the Corporation and he brought in the troops that night, and holy shit, it's all of DX up there with Michaels. Sure enough, he turns on him the same night, but whatever. Yeah. It was kind of nice seeing the Corporation stare down DX. You never got that with the Snob Richie King's Kingdom. And I think that was one of the reasons why it just honestly kind of drug on way too long, fell flat, and no one ever really got